make it easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't really break too easily, but I'm worth it, cause I'll slip into your dreams tonight. Oh, so give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me breaking your sweat. You're falling into me, touch me. I swear you would do anything that I want, so keep us awake till the dawn. Baby, feel free. I wanna make you sweat on me. I wanna make you sweat on me. I got you wrapped around my finger.
Ding dong, we're back.
Hello.
Hello, did you know it's Friday?
It is. It is Friday. It is Friday.
It is Friday, March
We have
4th,
made it.
and this is Your Favorite Ants. I am Poet Laureate Amanda Garmond.
And I am poet John O'Donohue.
And this is Your Favorite Ants, the best show on the internet. Hands down.
Yeah, hands down. Voted by my mom, maybe. Probably not.
Yeah.
I would like to think.
There's a lot of people out there who really like this show, and your mom is one of them. My mom has never listened to anything I've made.
No, and we probably wouldn't. We love your mom. And
I don't want to scar her.
We don't want to scar your mom. So this is a show. If you're new, thank you for joining us. This is a show that your two favorite internet ants, the Kevin Garcia and Sarah.
Yeah, we're here to check in with you. We're here to have a family get together, little check in. So let's start with that. How are you doing, Sarah? How the hell are you? And to everyone watching us live, how the hell are you? You can let us know in the comments.
Yes, let us know in the comments. I am doing pretty well. It has been a really busy week. I was in North Carolina for half of it, which was fantastic and wonderful. I get to speak at a really cool church community that is just doing so many things so well, called Church on Morgan, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina. Just, very diverse congregation as far as LGBTQIA. They're having a lot of conversation about what does race diversity look like in a way that isn't tokenism. They're even having that conversation done really well. So,
I mean, I think that's pretty brilliant. I would rather have an anti-racist, all-white congregation than a diverse congregation that is still racist.
Yes. So that was just a really great place to be. But I'll be honest, the week has been also really heavy. Even though I got to see some of my favorite people and be in like one of my favorite places, which is Duke University, where I went to grad school, did a great little run. Just the heaviness of what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on, continues to go on with legislation. It's been a really heavy week, but also met with a lot of clients this week. So feeling a little bit tired, but excited and just glad to be here. You and I were talking earlier today, and I was like, I can't wait to just be with you. For some reason, it is not for some reason, I know why. It's such a grounding experience to chat with friends in a time like this. Scotty wrote a little stressed today. My partner's mom lives in Romania, and that nuclear plant fire last night sent her into panic. We're going to talk about that later. And absolutely, yeah, that makes sense. So, Kevin, how the hell are you?
I want to highlight Peggy's little comment because I've known Peggy a good minute, and Peggy texted me yesterday to say I finally quit the job. I'm like, good. It's also like Peggy's one of those like hardworking people who's like, I got 2 jobs because I'm industrious. I'm like, that's incredible. Why? But just want to say I'm really proud of you, Peggy, for standing up for yourself and doing what was good for you. Proud of you.
Yes. Proud of you.
I am still I'm flying on cloud 9 today. Probably I'm feeling a little school person. Little I'm giddy. I'm feeling giddy because I've been spending time with a lovely young sir who I like a lot, and I've been enjoying his company. And one cute romantic thing happened today. We were getting coffee, and then He just leaned over across the table and just kissed me. I was like, I didn't even ask you to do that. And then
I love it
in public, which like I don't know why I thought that was such a big deal, but just like
because
I
you
don't
grew up
know.
where a lot of people were closeted and ashamed of their feelings for others. Plus, I think we've grown up in a culture, or not grown up, we live in a culture where people don't express their, like, it's like better to be coy is like a lie that we tell. And so sometimes when people do things in public, it seems to hold even more meaning because,
Yeah.
yeah, it just feels like an acknowledgement of what you were feeling all along.
Yeah. He also reached for my hand as I was thinking I'd really like to hold his hand. And I was like, mm,
Ugh, well, I am excited that that's going on for you. It has been really lovely. I just enjoy watching you be giddy. It's the best.
I don't often get this way. So it's like,
No, no, even in relationship, you don't, honestly. I
no.
think it's slow moving, which is fun.
Mm.
It
We have
is,
not that's the thing. It's just like usually like and I've said this to you, but just like all of my and I've said this to him too. I'm like, I've always by this point I've slept with a person at least once.
yeah.
Um and usually it's like I'm gonna sleep with you and then we're probably just gonna realize, oh, this isn't really a thing. But it's kind of the reverse.
It's the slow
Friends
burn.
first.
Friends first, which can be the best. Oh,
Who
it can be the
knew?
best.
Who knew that I of all people could fall into this category?
I think we all did. I think you didn't.
Ew. Ew.
Uh, well, I'm really glad to be with you today. Is there anything else you want to tell us about how you're doing? So that's your personal life. You've got some
Mm,
exciting stuff going on that you've been really excited about.
yes. Just the basics. Dirty Rotten Church kids, Adrian and Josh, are going to be in Atlanta for the Crowded Table Gathering on April 2nd. So if you want to come down to the ATL or up to the ATL, depending on your geography, tickets start at $33. It's super cheap, and a bunch of folks in the Crowded Table community are already working on like what's it called? Road trip plans,
I
Airbnb
love that.
situations. And also, you can make like a whole weekend out of it too. Like, it's a really, really cheap event, and it's that I made it that way on purpose so that you could come, meet people, and connect. So go to my website to find out more because
I love
you
it.
deserve to have friends. Like, this is something I was thinking about too. Is that we love using the community word? It's like I miss community. I miss community. Let me tell you what the best kind of communities, we didn't ever fucking call them communities. We said just like my
Friends,
church is like my family.
family.
And so it's just like I just want friends. I'm just like so like honestly like come hang out with your friends. Fuck a community. You know, stop trying to like make it a thing. I just want to be friends with you. I want to be friends with people. What
I
a
think the hard
concept.
part is that language sometimes of family was actually used in a problematic way where it meant like you
Yeah.
can't break away from the family, or you had a really difficult family. And so
Mm,
um, people have a difficult time with that. And I think friendship is a really helpful thing. There, I joked at the top of the show
yeah.
that I'm John O'Donohue, but John O'Donohue has a great book on sacred friendships. Um, and I have been reading it and it is so good. I think it's called Anam Cara. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's anyway, it's a beautiful book on friendship and sacred and holy friendships. And his argument is like that's where the divine exists in sacred friendship,
I would agree.
which
So
I love.
Course in Miracles would call that holy friendship or a
Mm,
holy relationship,
I love it.
meaning that it exists for the uplifting of each other,
Mm,
or
that's good.
not even that it exists for that, but it exists, and because both are aware of their goodness and holiness, it naturally causes growth.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's been true
Mm,
in a lot of our friendships. So uh, I think it's great for all of you who are in the Atlanta area. And
yeah.
even if you're not, take a nice little road trip. If you're in the
Yeah.
Southeast,
Oh
heck,
yeah, and also you can join us online if you can't make it or don't want to. If you're like live events are not for me, but you want to join like the online, we're doing a like basically mirroring the same thing, doing it online. So all of the breakout sessions that we have, you'll be doing that on Zoom. So like you can still participate, and we've got about 10 people who are signed up for the digital retreat already. So listen, you're not going to be in there alone, and if you want to join that, join the community. That's it. Done advertising. Done pushing my agenda of friendship on people.
I mean, I think it's fine to push it. What are you drinking, my friend,
Real good.
before we hop into pop culture and headline news? What you drinking,
Gin and
friend?
tonic. It's a gin. Well, it's a gin and soda water from the Soda Stream. It's very basic, but you know.
I love that.
Tonight, I am dressing up in a very, very beautiful garment and going to a very fancy party with a lot of my friends. I'm very excited.
Oh, that's right. You've got like a very fancy. I'm actually going to be going out to dinner tonight with a friend who has quit her job after having a really toxic work environment. So I said, look, let's celebrate it. And now I realize, like, I promise, guys, my whole agenda is not to get everyone to quit their job. I know that feels like every week I'm telling someone.
Well, the thing about it is that you're not trying to get people to quit their job. You're trying to help people be happy. And the thing is, more people should quit their job if they're unhappy, because you know what? We can become useless to capitalism that way. I'm so serious. Like,
you know you are.
I'm just like, you guys pay a job even if you don't like it. That isn't fucking true. There are ways to pay your bills. Okay. It's not, you might not like it later, so you got to really like weigh your options, but just like recognize capitalism wants to think that you're stuck, and maybe because of your whatevers you might be, but a lot of times you're a lot less stuck than you think.
I love it.
Anyways, I'm not going to coach everyone here. That's not what we came here for. We came here to have a good time.
And also to talk about some of the things that are going on in culture.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this section used to call it airing our grievances. We used to call it pop culture. We used to call it headline news. There's a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's just the time that we talk about it. You know,
mm-hmm.
It's the time we want to talk about the things in the world.
I want to pause to say, if you could pull up Peggy's 2 comments. The Trader Joe's cashier gave me flowers when I told her I quit my job. Guys.
Oh.
This is what I'm telling you. When we were in the thick of just everyone being isolated, but we still had to go get groceries, I would go into Trader Joe's, and it was like the one place I was getting like just incredible like interactions with people. So I am so grateful for Trader Joe's, for their HR policies, how they hire people. They are a
Shout
great
out to Joe's
organization.
But also,
food.
I want to say F you to Trader Joe's at the same breath for not considering being in lower income neighborhoods, because
that's true.
So
Tiffany Haddish is coming for you. Tiffany Haddish is coming for you.
Yes. And the thing is, you could definitely like imagine a friend like a Trader Joe's in a neighborhood, like in the neighborhood that they don't want to go to, and you hired people.
I know.
You hired people from the neighborhood.
Exactly.
And then everyone starts to shop there because it's their neighborhood. I'm just telling you, God, I want to be rich. I want to be rich so that I can do things like this.
That's like, if you don't know what Kevin is talking about, Tiffany Haddish, who is an incredible comedian, has started a process of creating grocery stores local to Los Angeles, and mostly going to be outfitted with items from the Black community at Black farmers. It's going to be incredible. And she talks a lot about this idea of what does it mean to sort of, because she herself grew up in poverty and grew up not knowing how the next meal was going to come. And so also really loves her community and hasn't abandoned or left it. And so she has this great idea, and she's bringing in amazing people. If you want to hear more about it, honestly, we don't always talk about other podcasts, but go on Smartless podcast and hear her. I cried twice listening to that episode. It's so inspiring. So
speaking of one other podcast, go listen to the latest episode of Rev Covery if you are somebody in ministry or leaving the ministry. It's so good.
Thank you, friend. Yeah, that's been so great. I mean, I should have said that in the top. It has been just so many people apologize to me.
Can I tell you?
Go.
Rev Covery is like, in some ways, kind of what I think you wanted Sonderless to be, if that makes sense.
I wasn't ready for it yet. Sonderless was the very first podcast that I ever
did. Like that you dipped your toes and you weren't quite ready, but like now you're like, here it is. I'm doing
Here's what I'm
it,
doing.
and
So go ahead.
you're flourishing as a result.
I am. I'm doing pretty well. I'm getting to
Mm.
speak at events again, which is really fun for me. Working with some really great clients. I'm actually working with some really great churches, having them make positive changes to their spaces, like their actual physical space, so they can make changes to the internal space.
Mm.
Anyway, I say all that to say Revcovery has been one of these podcasts where you put it out there and you don't know if people are going to listen. And I think Justin and I thought we were going to have some time to like build momentum around it. And almost daily, I am chatting with someone who's going through, like, been affected by the podcast in like a good way, saying like, this is the first time I felt seen and heard, and our DMs are full. So thank you so much to all of you who are supporting us. We have a little tiny Instagram. Join it. It's Revcovery Room. It's about to be a Discord as well as a community. So that's all that.
Yeah,
whew,
yeah.
friend.
All right. What's going on in the world, Sarah?
Okay,
Breaking
well,
news.
we're gonna do Ukraine second, if that's okay, because I got a lot of
You're in
things to say
charge
about.
today.
I want to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene from your state.
Oh, we don't claim her. We don't claim her. Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, she's the worst. And
So she heckled the president during the State of the Union. We are
it
literally.
would be fine if the president was an idiot, but you're heckling him for the wrong reasons, you know?
It wasn't
Anyways,
the.
sorry, keep going.
It was also just. It looked like a bunch of sorority girls gone. Like, I've been in those meetings. Like, it was just not. It wasn't a good look. I'll say also, this week there was a gathering of white supremacists, and they hid where they were going to meet and who was going to speak. And originally, the former head of ICE, who worked under Trump, was slated to be the keynote speaker at a openly white supremacist conference. I need you to understand, this is how they self-identify. This is not what CNN has labeled them. This is not
This is like
right.
they're like, no, we are racist. We are white supremacists. We believe
We
that
are
we are
white
better,
supremacists. Yeah.
and we're down. We're down with killing people.
The
Right.
problem is the immigrants. So they invited from ICE to come speak, former leader of ICE, and he was slated to be the keynote until he looked up the lead of this, or like, and his name is, and I
He
hate to
didn't
give
know
him.
where he was getting booked.
No, his
He
agent.
didn't know where he was getting. He's like, okay,
That's
I'm
what
just
he
gonna
claims.
say that is insane to me. Did you?
The
Were
name
you
of the
just play, like?
conference for people to look up is America First Political Action Conference. So,
Crazy.
the interesting thing was so he looks the guy up and literally leaves before the conference starts. But don't worry, friends, don't worry. Marjorie Taylor Greene steps up
Loves
to be
Jesus.
the keynote speaker at this legitimately
I can't wait for
self-described.
primaries.
Guys, it was terrible. And
When I tell you the way that organizing this state has never been so easy. Like, did you know that Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke at a white supremacist conference? Do you want to vote for a white supremacist?
yeah.
It has never been easier to get somebody to flip. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, the things that she said, guys, first of all, she knew the neo-Nazis, like they call each other, I'm gonna say it wrong, but basically they call each other, and again, when I use the word neo-Nazi, this is a word they use for themselves. This is self-identifying. They call themselves like this weird little like insider name, and she knew the name. Now, you also need to know this is, well, everything is good. This is last week, friends. This is not a long
Last
time
week,
ago.
as in literally the same week that Ukraine got invaded and all the bills were going through.
Right.
Also, that happened last week. Let's.
I know. She takes the stage after the crowd has yelled, Putin, 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 cheering for Putin.
Vladimir
She
Putin.
takes the stage and hugs the man who welcomes her on the stage, who is the one who started the chant.
When I tell you, I can't wait for midterms. This is the one time, like, at least in Georgia, we stand a really good chance of flipping our governor's seat and our senators.
Mm-hmm.
Because also Marjorie Taylor Greene ran unopposed last time.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so this time, Marcus Flowers is the Democrat who's running. He is a U.S. Army veteran, a black man, dope community organizer. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, here's the thing about like people like this is like, it's horrifying and also incredibly surprising. They are like the Republican Party is at the point where they are going to say the thing out loud, the loud part out loud. The quiet, it's no longer the quiet part; it's just the loud part. It's all loud.
They had another special guest, which is Janice McGeachin, who is the Lieutenant Governor of Idaho, who is making a bid to be the governor. And guess who is supporting her is Trump. She thanked them for the good work they're doing in literally the fight of their lives, protecting their country. I thank you for joining our efforts. Together, we will fight to make the country great again.
Hey, any Canadian listeners out there? I need a green card or whatever the Canadian equivalent of a green card is.
Friends, the truth is like they yelled for the hanging of Fauci, Dr. Fauci, who they don't call. They literally call him Fauci. Sorry, they call him Tony. They don't call him by his official title. They claim that, you know, there's all this conspiracy. And why do I say this? Because it used to be that crazy fringe beliefs used to not be the ones. We needed to have a more centrist approach in order to get elected, right? So I'm talking fringe on both sides, guys. These people have been elected by their states who believe QAnon, like both of these people. And I'm sorry to our non-American listeners, but I just needed us to maintain our vigilance, to educate ourselves, to read the tough news, because all of this has to do with what's happening globally, right? The fact that there are Americans who are supporting what's going on in Ukraine is problematic.
Beyond problematic, it's
right.
Wrong. Like, I don't usually call things bad or wrong, but that's wrong.
It is.
That's bad.
It is.
It's why it's just shut up. Like, it costs nothing to be quiet, you know? It used to be that people with bad opinions wouldn't say anything and they would just like secretly and like, and I'm not here to, it's one thing if you want to like, you're allowed to keep your bad opinion, but also no one's going to want to be friends with you. So like,
and as we discussed earlier, friends is the way you want to go. The interesting thing too that was in the news that I think we should address, that I'm so sorry I didn't put in the notes, but there is a kid who is 19 years old who reported his dad for being part of the January 6th insurrection and worked with the FBI to highlight all of the things that his dad said. And it has been painful. He has been rejected by his family. And he says, I did it for my siblings, knowing that we are not safe if this is the opinions of my father. And the kid yesterday testified in front of his own father. And they had this like playful, loving relationship. And I think this is important because it is affecting the American family, where we used to be able to joke around about just don't talk about politics at the table, but this kid can't go home. And it's not his mother's beliefs, because his mom doesn't agree with the father's beliefs, I don't believe. But it's this really painful thing. You know, it's this really painful thing where so many people, there was something that happened in 2016 that a reckoning, an ugly head was reared, and we are still dealing with that. And in some ways,
Said another way, the beast of Babylon was revealed.
was revealed. And in some ways, I'm going to say that what's happening in Ukraine is really highlighting really what is interestingly uniting and also highlighting where this stuff leads. Because,
Because let me tell you what,
yeah.
Ukraine wasn't always the ways that it was. Or Russia, excuse me, not Ukraine.
Russia. Ukraine, again, it's interesting too, because the narrative that Russia is using is that this is a brand new country and we're just trying to go back, make it great again. Like all this stuff. It's like using very similar language.
And also, like, I was reading that some of the Russian soldiers have been surrendering once they get there, and the civilians tell them, no, we don't want this to happen. Like, you've been lied to. Basically, apparently, they told the Russian military, oh, they want us to come in.
No, that's actually Putin's using the language that it's they're emancipating people. That's the language so people want Russia to come back. What's really fascinating, and I can't wait to see what is happening, is there is an actual city that is predominantly Russian backing that has not fallen. So something is going on in that city, and we're not getting any reports from it, but they are not surrendering to Russia, even though they are like primarily Russian, Ukrainian. Also, full wept when I saw, I don't know if you saw yesterday, a Ukrainian player took the field in soccer or football, as some of us call it, and looked up to the stands, and all the fans of the opposing side were holding their Ukrainian flag. And he just started weeping mid-field. And I was like, oh, God. And he just walked.
It's so interesting. It's just like, we cry about different things. You cry about sports things.
I do.
I love that about you. It's one of those things where it's just like, you really do contain the butch of this relationship.
Am I the butch of our relationship? That makes sense.
I mean, we kind of. We balance each other out in really delicious ways, you know?
That is true. That is true.
I still, like, when you come visit me, I need some shelves installed.
And I'll do that for you, because that is something I enjoy doing.
I've had them right over there. They're sitting on the ground. I just don't know how to mount them. I've looked at the instructions, and I don't know what they mean.
There's not a lot of things you don't know how to mount.
That was very good, Sarah. Very good.
Thank you. Another thing that I thought we should talk about when it comes to Ukraine. Not the Ukraine. Not the Ukraine.
Great catch.
Ukraine. I was going to say the Ukraine situation, then I stopped. Is we are seeing refugees in huge numbers. But the hard part is, guys, a lot of refugees from other countries are being turned away because Ukrainian refugees are considered more desirable.
Yeah, let's just say racism is at work, because what happened when all those Syrian refugees got displaced? People were like, oh, I'll take 5,000. Oh, I'll take 2,000.
Right.
Rationing.
I know.
Rationing it. But and also the news has been doing the same thing, where it's just like, well, it's very strange to see all this war in this very civilized place. I'm just like,
right.
It is because who destabilized those other places? White countries, empires did that. Like, and also the only difference between these other ones is just like, they're white Christians, you know, and these are brown Muslims. Right. And that is why these countries don't want them. Point blank, period. It's also the same reason that there's so much outcry over the bullshit happening in Ukraine, but in all of like the very intense things that happen in Africa, we hear nothing. There's no outcry. There's no outrage. Great. No one sends aid.
Yep. It's one of those things where, because we have created this body, like, because we're so not embodied and we don't see ourselves as you know, all bodies, because I had this whole conversation with this group of pastors about embodiment, which was so fascinating, because I got called all kinds of names in the like, not bad names, but they're like, she's very new agey and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, no, like, embodied faith is something that has been around forever, since the beginning.
Embodiment is
this is my body. The idea of the incarnation is body. And if you are someone who is still of faith and is someone who I hate to use the word still, if you are someone who Lent is an important practice, like this makes sense that all of this is going on during this time when we really think about what does it mean to be an embodied people of faith. So yeah, guys, I'm having a really tough time with just seeing everything that's happening in Ukraine, and also proud of the way that some really surprising people have shown up to do really great things. So I'm going to tell you, Doctors Without Borders, incredible. International Red Cross is being incredible. And there's all different ways that you can support. So help support Ukraine, help support organizations that also are doing the work in the areas that we mentioned earlier that don't get a lot of news.
Yeah, and if you can't do anything, do a magical curse. Hex the Russian military. Hex the Russian government. Listen,
I mean, it
it's
affects
also like
us.
it's currently like we're only 3 days after the new moon, so the magic is still potent. And I mean that.
Whereas I'm like, I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds
Incredibly fun.
Okay, I have 2 pop culture things
Wow.
that I meant to put in the notes, and apparently I didn't save them. But
It's
Colton
okay.
Underwood got engaged
Of course he fucking did. Ugh.
to a political strategist.
They both white.
Yep. I believe so.
They're both sexy as hell.
I don't know now that you say. Yep. They are.
Yep. This is the thing that happens with all these, like, I'm going to come out, I hope I can I'm going to get booed up and get into, like, heteronormativity as quickly as possible because that's all they ever care about.
Oh, that is interesting. It is a very heteronormative, even like the surprise engagement and stuff was a very heteronormative moment.
Yeah, it was like when Clay Aiken came out, he's like, I'm gay and I have a baby now. What?
Wait, Clay Aiken, the country singer?
Clay Aiken from American Idol?
Oh.
All those years ago?
I don't know who that is.
Good for you. It's niche at this point.
Got it.
But that's the thing is that, like, and this is something I was very jealous of for a while, is I would see a lot of my queer friends become, like, they come out of the closet and they immediately want to get booed. And, like, I'll say this for myself. I was out of the closet for a year, and then I'm, like, my first boyfriend, we moved in together. Very, like, I want the structure. This is how I know I'm progressing in this life. This is how I know I'm good. And so,
oh, that's interesting. You're using other people's metrics for this is how I know I'm good. This is how I'm progressing.
This is how I know I'm successful. This is, like, of course, but this is how, like, Western society in general measures success is house, like, spouse, house, car, kid, right? Do I have these things? Then I've made it. But that we're quickly learning that this is how capitalism keeps us lulled into doing the same thing. And just like, so get married, have kids, and then teach them how to be good capitalists so they go get a job at age 15 and do all the things you did so that they can recreate the same thing and keep paying your bills. Ding, 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 ding.
I think there's the human desire to belong. And
also good for him. I'm glad he found happiness, but also that's my thing. It's like both and.
I love it. The other thing I want to talk about is Kanye West's behavior, which I preached about in Transfiguration Sunday, which was the Sunday I preached in a community.
One of my favorite passages, I might add.
Well, it was great because a trans kid came up after it. I was like, and it just was great. And said how much our work means to them, which was incredible. And then said, this is the first time I've worn full makeup to church. And I said, well, it's Transfiguration Sunday. You're welcome. It was just like this great
Transfiguration.
It was this great moment.
Let me
the
tell you
two
what.
of us were in giggles.
I love a pun. And I also think that, I have a really good Transfiguration Sunday sermon that's, like, on my books that I can pull out whenever I want. Oh, it's a great passage. Great story.
It is. It's so good. But I talked about the fact that, for Peter, if you don't know the story, that's fine. It's a story where Jesus is seen differently by disciples, the people
Keep
following
going. I
Jesus.
can hear you. I need to refill my drink.
You're fine. And so they get into this moment where they have encountered both Moses and Elijah. And so immediately Peter says, it's good that we were here, because I love Peter's audacity. Like, Peter is just so audacious, which is why I love the story. And says, good we're here, we can build a monument for you. And Jesus doesn't even respond. It looks like, yeah, that's not it. Because the idea of being like stuck in that was the greatest moment is so much what we do in faith in our lives and all that sort of stuff. And I used Kanye West as an example, someone who was stuck in the past, because Kanye really has been doing very bizarre things to stay attached to Kim.
And is harassing her. This is harassment.
Literally is harassing her. And then the fans who are like, no, this is art. Guys, this man is unhinged, and we are celebrating unhingement. And it concerns me.
No, not unhingement. We're celebrating bad behavior. Because, like, I'm as unhinged as they come, let's be honest.
That's true.
But, like, it's just, it's a man getting away with bad behavior because he's rich. And, like, that's what it comes down to. And, like, I get it. Man suffering from great mental illness. I suffer from great mental illness too, but you know what? I have not seen my ex since we broke up, okay? It is possible to not harass your exes.
Right. And then it's also like he is actually threatening through art, the new partner. And that just really makes me nervous, friends. And the other thing that we don't consider is how many folks who have gone through this kind of abuse check this out and think and are brought, all their traumas activated again. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Stay off the internet a lot.
Yeah,
I know it looks like I'm on the internet a lot, but I'm really not. It's an illusion.
No, you work a lot. It's hard to stay on the internet when you work. I just read all the news early in the morning because that's the thing I do when I wake up, because apparently I'm an old man.
You know what you can do to not, rather than like read it, what if you listened to This Is Non-Spawn podcast, What a Day from Crooked Media? They give a nice 15 minutes of like, here's the quick and dirty updates, but like in a way that's light enough. It's serious enough to understand, but light enough to where you're not going to get emotionally distraught.
What a day. I listened to the NPR daily updates.
Too serious. Informative, but too serious. I need a little bit of levity. You know me.
I'm going to check our Instagram because I did ask if anyone had anything to ask us. But do you have anything you wanted to bring up?
I need to bring up the fact that I need to stretch after this. I could also check. I don't think anyone's sent us an email to the inbox ever. Okay, so here's what I want to possibly... Not ever. Here's something I want to try to get on in the coming months.
I'm ready.
Dream about it.
Yes, let's dream about it.
Because like I'm putting together my new show, my little advice call-in show that I'm also going to have like similar to this. It's just going to have a different person every time come on live, and we're going to do like a little, basically talk about shit, talk about our lives, and like, get like, I'm going to do a little mini coaching session, if you will.
I love it.
And just like walk someone through a spiritual practice, and like, let's just connect. But I figured that there's got to be a way for people to leave us little voicemails.
There are. So if you go to our Irreverent Media
I forgot.
Website, we'll put the link in the bio. I'm going to remind you to do that. We'll put a link in the show notes, and you can actually leave us a voicemail if you have anything you want to ask us. Because I know, in the beginning, that was kind of a nice way, a levity, a nice way to engage with people. And so if you have any questions, we would love for you to do so. And truthfully,
to hear it.
Because I think the thing that I wait until Friday to ask people, because my week gets so crazy, and then I end up not Friday. And so I know that.
So you know what we should do? What we should do?
What?
We should do question of the week at the beginning of the week. And then,
Great.
Or like topic. We should like pick a topic of something like we want to tackle. Like at the end of every show. Next show, we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z things at the end of the show. So
guys, you're getting to see behind the scenes right now.
behind the scenes, in the scenes of our highly unproduced show that we're trying to get more serious about.
I know. But we also love it, and so we're trying not to mess with it too much.
Yeah, it's it's good fun for everyone, but we do want to like try to serve the people better.
That's right.
So if you've got an idea for a topic, what do you like? Tell us in the comments right now.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, crowdsourcing. Here we go. Do you have any cues from your Instagram?
I don't see any.
Oh, wow. Listen, people know what to do. People don't have any problems today.
I think people might just be overwhelmed.
I'm overwhelmed. That's for sure.
I think it's been a lot. It's been a big week. People are tired.
Mhm.
I think people are, yeah.
So what are you doing to take care of yourself, Sarah Heath?
Ooh, someone asked, I would love to hear Sarah's thoughts at some point on the Global Methodist Church announcement. So
Oh, what is that? Church drama?
the Global Methodist Church. So I am part of the United Methodist denomination. And the Global Methodist Church has just said that they are a new they're going to be a new denomination, but it is
They're
one that will not.
splitting.
It will be one that is not inclusive and not, yeah. So there we go. How do I feel about it? I feel like, it breaks my heart constantly. I think it's hard because we have this like really big idea that we can, as a denomination, address things that need to happen on a local level. That's what I'll say. And so I think every local church needs to be having this conversation. A lot of churches have left United Methodism over this, both sides actually. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens next. I don't know enough about the announcement that was just made, Dana. I am going to look it up. I did see this morning that an announcement had been made, but haven't read it totally.
Gonna do some research. Have an informed opinion.
Our friend Sierra asked microdosing for a topic. That is a great topic because they just discovered that microdosing is actually bad when they thought it was good. It is actually bad for folks who have depression or anxiety. So used over time, our dear friend Mike McHargue does research just for the heck of it and was sharing with me some information that Johns Hopkins has actually recently done studies around this, and they're finding that microdosing that they once thought was helpful in the end actually elevates it, where they're finding if people go on larger, more contained trips, that actually has a longevity of less health risks and doesn't seem to affect depression and anxiety in the same way. So we can look into that.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me because I think people can use plant medicine in whatever way feels best for them because that's the only way we can do it. But I also think that like if you're using it like intuitively, it comes to a point where you recognize you don't need it. Like, because like here's the thing about hi, I'm not a doctor. I'm only somebody who has experimented casually and recreationally with psychedelics. Please do not take anything I say as actual medical advice. Thank you.
And I am someone who just reads a lot of medical journals because I am a nerd.
Yeah. Is that what I found is that like if you are able, it's medicine to help you, like it can help you get free. Like for me, like the first time I took LSD, I really did have an incredible spiritual experience that allowed me to break free from a lot of patterns, thoughts, and fears. And since that time, I have never, ever doubted God in my life. Like, I have...
From that one experience?
Yes. Because I just understood. I got whatever God is, or whatever that feeling of unitive consciousness, of love, of that... that here is the only thing. I understood it. I touched it. And I try to stay there as often as possible. And now it's not even like a wild thing. It's just my new reality. And that's the thing is like once you break in, for me, it's just like once you use these tools to break into reality, you don't need them all the time. Because then it's just like, now it's just like when I take shrooms, I'll do like a little recreational dose. And just have a little fun and just play. It feels like playtime. you know?
I think the important thing is to know that there is studies being done in Oregon around this stuff because they are finding that some of it is helpful for mental health stuff, but
Mhm.
it is problematic in that sometimes folks who have things such as undiagnosed schizophrenia or things that they may not know they have,
Mhm.
it isn't helpful. It's actually going to cause people to go
Worse.
into, yeah.
Yeah. So I
So,
would say, because like I would say like if you're don't do things like this until you've done your work, your emotional, spiritual work first.
okay.
Like that's actually one of my big things is just like if you are already somebody who's naturally anxious or something, like that's fine. You just need to figure out how to deal with that outside of drugs, frankly, before you try other things because like if you're turning to alcohol, drugs in order to quell something that's natural within you, like maybe you don't need to get on medication, you know? Because that's the
Yeah.
thing, just like I really do think that people who just like they'll take LSD or they'll take shrooms and just oh I'm gonna have this transcendent experience. I'm like you're bastardizing it. And also it's just like they'll have like a really really bad trip and then they'll blame the medicine or they'll blame the plant and I'm like it's only bringing up that which is within you. You only
Yeah.
see that which is within you. So it's just like I if you don't deal with your stuff, if you don't love yourself enough to take care of you and to deal with the hard things that are going on in your life, you can take all the drugs in the world and you'll never get closer to yourself. And I say this as somebody who is a stoner. I say
As
this as somebody who like I smoke more I know I smoke too much weed.
mm,
The thing is like this is what I want people to understand about this kind of like, you know, when we talk about like becoming ourselves or loving ourselves is that there's nothing, there's no practice on earth. There is no drug you can take. There's no person you can meet. There's no sex you can have that is going to actually convince you that you are loved.
right.
That is your responsibility to not even to convince yourself of it, but just to accept the fact that you are like and once you get that,
I think there are some
everything
practices that can get you into that, um,
yes, of course.
which is there are, meditation, things like that, that allows
Yes.
you to get in touch with yourself in a way that will, let you know the things that need to come out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Yeah, the thing
that's
about
a
it is
great.
like before I ever did drugs, I was meditating. Like that's the thing is I met God way before I did LSD. That's the thing. I met God when I was 9 years old.
Mm,
I just got to see him, her, them, it, me. I got to see me when
in that experience.
at 30. So
Ugh. Um, there, uh, Scotty shared with us there's a beautiful anonymous podcast, just did an episode with an ex Green Beret who is now a shaman presiding over ayahuasca trips for people. There are some real legitimate concerns about ayahuasca trips being cultural appropriation and using. So there's some interesting conversations being had about that as well.
mhm.
So I do not pretend to be an expert in that. So we can,
It is something to pay attention to. Um,
yes,
and at the same time, I won't lie. I'm so curious. I'm like, is
yes.
there a way for me to do that that is not problematic? Because if so, I would like to do that.
I think we probably know the people that you could ask about that.
Oh, of course we do. Um, hey, thanks for letting me go on that little tangent. It just
No, I
felt
think
right.
it's important to talk about the fact that um,
Um,
nothing is going to replace the. Unfortunately, the truth is nothing is going to
mhm.
replace the work of inner knowing yourself and um, being able to, yeah, sit with yourself in a way that drugs or
Mhm.
whatever it will only, that. What did you say? It only bringing up that which is within you. Like it will
Yes,
only. Any of these things are only going to highlight what is
like
already.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the thing is like all because like who you truly are is always there. It's just hidden underneath all these bullshit thoughts and all this, like, all these narratives that feel very real to you. And so when you take something that is allowing your imagination to blur with your actual physical vision, it becomes very scary.
Mhm.
But you have to recognize that you are actually this afraid all the time.
Mhm.
And so like that's really the thing. It's just so you gotta know how to deal with your fear before you go to a place like that, because otherwise you're just gonna get fucked up, and then you're gonna have a bad experience, and then you're not gonna ever want to do it again, and then you'll be a very stuffy person. Ugh. Just kidding.
Yes.
You might not be stuffy, you might just have a bad trip. I want to pull this question up because I think that it could be helpful for both of us. Any advice for someone entering full-time ministry? Don't.
Ugh.
I'm sorry.
You just made yourself turn red with laughter.
Oh my god.
Yeah, friends, I
Advice.
think for me, I would never
Okay,
pretend to
sorry.
tell you what you should do around full-time
Yeah,
ministry,
neither
'cause
will I. Neither will I.
I know people who are doing it and loving it. My friend Justin Morgan is a fantastic pastor and is doing such great work within that. I think the thing is actually very similar to the advice we gave before. Before you enter into full-time ministry, know yourself, know what your hope is in it, remain faithful to that. And by that, I mean, like, why are you getting into ministry? What is it about ministry that drives
Mhm.
you? Like, is it for other people? Or I think there is so many good things that can be done within ministry if you already have the boundaries going in. So set up some like
Ooh,
hard
yes.
no's as you're entering in. Like, what are the no's as I enter into this? Like, what
Mhm.
if something happens that makes me have to participate in this way? If I experience this thing, write a list of them so that when they show up, like, what are the values that you bring to it? So that if those things show
Mhm.
up, you can give yourself permission to be out of there. I don't think it's the
Yeah.
worst thing to go into full-time ministry, despite what some might think. I think there are real potentials for changing
Mhm.
folks' lives, and I think
Yeah.
and being present with people.
Yeah. Like here's the deal. If you go into it and you've got like here's the thing. Here's my advice. Get your spiritual practice down now. And then
Your spiritual
teach
practice,
your
yes.
spiritual practice to your community.
Mhm.
I'm so serious about this. Pardon my burping.
Beyond the screaming, you're serious. I love it.
Yes, if you're going to be in full-time ministry, you people want to say, how do we save the church? Here's how we do it. Here's how one does it. We have to be a community based. We have to become a religion based on practice.
Mm.
It can't be about belief anymore. We have to do things together in community that build us up. If you're so you go, you have to have a spiritual practice. How do
Mm.
like what is and talk about it. This is how I pray. This is how I get still. This is how I watch my thoughts. So if you're not well here, if you're not at peace here, how the hell do you expect to teach peace to anybody if you
I
don't know
love that.
peace?
Yeah.
Don't you fucking dare stand in the pulpit and talk about God being abundant or or about the joy of the Lord if you don't know how to suffer as well.
Yeah, it's
Like talk
embodied,
about
right?
that. Like that's my thing. If you're gonna do it, really do it.
Yes.
Don't fuck around with this like, oh, I just gotta preach sermons on Sunday. Like you got into ministry to change lives, did you not?
Yeah,
So
it won't
stop
last.
playing around.
It
Why am
won't
I not
last.
preaching at seminary? Why am I not a seminary professor?
You won't be able to last long or keep going if it's not something that is coming from within you and your own practices and your own. The other thing I'll tell you, if you're entering into full-time ministry, have friends outside of ministry, have friends who are not
Yo.
just doing the work of ministry. Um, I think it's been really helpful for me to have friends that are people who are in helping professions because they get it without being in it. So that is
Mhm.
another tip I would give you.
Yeah. Get yourself a therapist too. I would say get that.
Yes.
Get yourself a team around you. Like
Mhm.
not just like I mean that's what I have, honestly. Like I've got my psychiatrist, I've got my chosen family, I've got my coach. I actually I said to my therapist, "Hey, I'm going to take a break for a while." So I haven't seen my therapist in 3 months, but
Okay.
I feel like I'm finally in a place where like I'm able to practice all of the things that we practice together. And I'm very open to needing to go back. I can feel myself probably needing to. It's like more like I know that I need to check in. I don't
Yeah, I
need to
think
go every. I don't need to go every week, but I think like maybe once a quarter could be good.
so. For folks entering full time ministry, I think it's important to
Thank you for bringing me
negotiate.
back to the topic.
It's fine. Negotiate with the community that you're entering to include payment for folks around you. And by that, I mean for a spiritual director, for a therapist, or whatever you need to sort of prop you up on this journey. Also, if you are female bodied, which I'm not assuming with the name Hannah, though I'm guessing, it really have great conversations with people around making sure that you're being paid justly, because the numbers are frightening when it comes to the disparity in how much
Look up
men and
how
women
much exactly,
are paid.
and then also figure out how much the men are getting paid and ask for 10,000 more.
Coming from someone who only ever made what was known as conference minimum my entire career, and I tell you what, that made life really difficult. And I am not about money, but it really is
Yeah,
learning your own worth within it. Don't believe the lie that it's not humble to have that as something.
like, and let me tell you what this is. What A Course in Miracles says is that it is not humble to say that I am not a child of God. It
Mm,
is not humble to be paid below your worth. It is not it's not humility, it's humiliating. And we've been
yeah,
taught to glorify ourselves in that. Fuck that
right.
noise. It is 2022. We are getting paid. We are not educating people for free. We are not
No.
explaining ourselves any longer when there are explainer videos out there. You know what I'm saying?
In conclusion, we are grateful that you came and hung out with us today. We
Yeah.
are nearing the end of the hour. We
We're
want to
over it.
hold. We are over it. We want to hold Scotty and Scotty's partner,
Yeah.
who we mentioned earlier, who may have to go to Romania, which is a scary thing. We're holding you in the light,
In our
towards the
hearts.
light, in our hearts, in our prayers, in our meditations. Thank you for joining us today, because
Yeah.
that is a hard thing.
Yeah.
So,
We
friends, thank
left
you for
out the
joining us. Go ahead.
yeah. I was just saying we lift up the people of Ukraine.
Absolutely, we do.
We lift up the Russian citizens who are protesting and getting arrested.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
we lift up all of the bullshit that we go through in our own country. We thank God for Ketanji Brown, the first Black woman on the Supreme
Yes.
Court.
Yes, we are
And we
grateful for that.
pray that all white supremacists be silenced. Bitch.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Friends,
Any
have
other
a
advice
great
you got for the week? Wait, you got. I need your sage advice.
my
Also,
sage
remember to stay on the line so we can record our.
I promise. My sage advice this week is um yeah, this is coming from personal experience of this week. Make sure that you uh do educate yourself on the salary that folks are making within your career. And then so
Mm-hmm.
that you can normalize yourself asking for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Same
my
thing.
sage
If
advice.
also, and I also want to say, if you're queer, ask for. Also, like, if you're so many of us marginalized people, we just get fucked because we don't know what
Mhm.
the white men are, what the white cis men are making.
So find it out.
Oh, it's
See
crazy.
if your B's are correct and all that kind of stuff. And
Right, right.
and if you need help fighting for that, let us know. We'll help you think through it.
Yeah. If you're somebody out there, also, I'm just gonna say is if you're someone out there who's interested in coaching things and want to learn how to like make the transition from being like ministry person to like not ministry person, Sarah is the person to talk to. I'm so
Yes,
fucking serious. Sarah is so good at helping identify those things. And if you're somebody who's looking to create spiritual practices, I'm the person you want to talk to. So
right.
like
Call your aunts is what Sierra says.
call
Yeah,
your
we're here for you.
aunts at 1-800 we got your back. Just kidding. I love you. Um
What do you got?
I'm so filled with love for you, Sarah.
I love you too. I'm so
All
glad we get to
right.
do this every week. in the midst of a
Yeah.
really hard week. So call your people.
Call your people. Take care of yourself this week, everybody. Do something nice for yourself. And until next time, I love you. We are your favorite aunts, and we're very proud of you.
We love you and we're proud of you.
Good night. Goodbye. Goodbye.